It's been 5 years since Super Mario Odyssey was released. Many people agree with me that it's a very good game, or at the very least, they think it's a great entry in the Mario franchise. However, since it came out, there's been practically no news on this game getting any sort of major DLC. No, a conductor costume does not qualify as major. And there's also been no news on a sequel coming anytime soon. With this being my last video of 2022, I also want this to be the last year I have to make a video asking Nintendo, where is Super Mario Odyssey 2? And you know what? Call this a cope, I don't care, but I think 2023 will be the year we either get to play or get news on Super Mario Odyssey 2. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about why I think that's the case, along with disproving some counter arguments. If you enjoy this video, don't subscribe, because I will never make a video like this again because Nintendo is gonna announce Mario Odyssey 2 next year. Okay, just kidding, please subscribe. But with that out of the way, let's go to our first point as to why I think we'll see Super Mario Odyssey 2 next year. First off, let's look at a super simple point, the amount of time since the first game. It's been over 5 years, and yeah, I know F-Zero fans are probably like, I've had to wait 4 trillion years for a new game, stop complaining. But also no one cares about F-Zero, so you're never getting another game out. If you look at the timeline for mainline Mario games, this has been the second longest wait between mainline releases, only being passed by the gap between Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, which was 6 years. Now yes, that's not including stuff like Mario Maker 2 and Bowser's Fury, but I think it's fair to say those don't count considering one is about making levels and the other is an enhanced port. So taking into consideration how long it's been since the last fully new mainline Mario game, it makes sense to me that they will at the very least have a new Mario game coming up soon. There's no guarantee that it would be Mario Odyssey 2 or even a 3D game at all, but it would be very weird if Nintendo only made one fully original mainline Mario game for the Switch despite how successful it's been. As for another thing that points to at least a new Mario game coming soon, we had the upcoming Mario movie. With the release of the film in April, that to me sounds like the perfect time to write off the Mario hype and announce a brand new game. Now I don't personally think the new game will be based on the movie, I mean the movie is supposed to be based on the game, so it would be a little bit weird if it was the other way around, but I do think it would be a massive missed opportunity for Nintendo to not capitalize on the hype for this movie. I mean, almost the entire internet is excited to see this thing based on how positive the reaction was to the trailers, so I highly doubt they won't use this extra hype to their advantage to release a brand new Mario game. Oh, and also minor completely unrelated points, but I really hope the Mario movie will make way for Mario Lego sets with actual Mario minifigures. Listen, the game thing is kinda quirky, but I just want actual sets based on the games now, please. The NES question mark block and Bowser are really cool, keep those up, but please let us get actual minifigure sets with Mario characters. I would legitimately buy every single one of those. Okay, one more point that just points to at least a new Mario game rather than specifically Mario Odyssey 2. Every year the Switch has had at least one major release come out for the holiday season, which makes sense as that's when a lot of people will be buying games. For 2017 it was Mario Odyssey, 2018 was Smash Ultimate, 2019 was Pokemon Sword and Shield, 2020 was... okay, that was the cough virus year, it doesn't count. 2021 was Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and 2022 was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Okay, calm down with the Pokemon games. But yeah, pretty much every year has had one major release to have a big game at the end of the year. So far, there doesn't seem to be a good candidate for 2023 other than Mario. I mean, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in May, so it won't be Zelda. Pokemon just got a new game, so if it's a Pokemon game again, I'll be very sad. Kirby got Forgotten Land this year, so something on that level is probably a ways off. Animal Crossing and Splatoon are very unlikely to be getting new games anytime soon, and Nintendo's other franchises are a bit too small to really fit well as a holiday title. Oh, and it won't be Mario Kart because of the Booster Course DLC going until December, but I think we all know Mario Kart 8 will never die. To me, this all lines up for Mario to once again take the spotlight as the big Nintendo holiday game. Everything just seems to be lining up for it to happen again, but how do we know that it will be Mario Odyssey 2 specifically? Well, we don't. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, but I do think there is at least a little bit of evidence to prove we could possibly get Mario Odyssey 2, so let's look into that. I think the easiest thing to point to is the other big game of 2017, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Its story is very similar to Mario Odyssey's, coming out in the same year as it and being praised as one of the best games ever made. I mean, I personally like Majora's Mask best, but I guess Breath of the Wild is good too. But the reason I bring this game up is because it's finally getting its sequel next year in the form of Tears of the Kingdom. Just in case you've been living under a rock, we've actually known about this game for a really long time, since E3 of 2019 in fact. Now some of you may take that as Mario Odyssey 2 not possibly being able to come out next year considering we haven't even gotten it announced, but you have to consider that Zelda just does this. Their trailers almost always come out several years before the games themselves do, especially since they're often delayed. They did the same thing with Breath of the Wild itself, as its first trailer was at E3 of 2014 and the game didn't drop until 2017. Mario Odyssey on the other hand had its first gameplay showcase in the Nintendo Switch First Look trailer in October of 2016 and came out 1 year later. Now if we don't get an announcement for Mario Odyssey 2 by say April, yeah, that might be a bit too late for a 2023 game, but considering Nintendo usually has a direct around February and March, I think Odyssey 2 has a good chance to be there. With Nintendo clearly willing to make a sequel for their other major 2017 game, I think there's very little reason to believe they wouldn't do the same for Odyssey. But like I said earlier, Zelda is different from Mario, so let's look at the Mario series past to see if they've ever done direct sequels before. Super Mario Bros. Got a direct sequel in the form of the Lost Levels, and I guess you could say Mario 2 USA and 3 are also technically direct sequels since they're both numbered entries. Super Mario Land got Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. New Super Mario Bros. Got New Super Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. 2, and New Super Mario Bros. U, so it's pretty clear that the 2D games at least are pretty comfortable doing direct sequels to previous games. Mario Odyssey is a 3D game though, so how do sequels work there? While there are significantly less, there are still 2 3D games that could be seen as sequels. 3D Land got 3D World, which are technically pretty unrelated, but they do share a lot of elements, most prominently the format of levels. But the most obvious sequel of them all is Super Mario Galaxy getting a Super Mario Galaxy 2. So yeah, it's pretty clear that the Mario series is absolutely no stranger to sequels, even ones that reuse a lot of assets from the original game. Now, one interesting tidbit about Mario Galaxy 2 is how it came to be in the first place. As the story goes, Mario Galaxy 2 was originally meant to be just a simple add-on to the original Mario Galaxy, but they just had so many new ideas that they decided to make a whole sequel game for it instead. Now think back to Odyssey. Isn't it weird that we never got any substantial DLC for the game? I mean, every other major Switch game got a large amount of content after they dropped to keep players invested and to make Nintendo a little extra money. I mean, let's look at the top 6 here. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe got the Booster Course Pass, Animal Crossing New Horizons got several small updates and even a Happy Home Designer DLC that I completely forgot about. Smash Ultimate got Minecraft Steve and like 11 other guys no one cares about. Breath of the Wild got the Master Trials and the Champion's Ballad, and Sword and Shield got some DLC that I don't care to look up. That brings us to Mario Odyssey itself, which only got some random costumes in Luigi's Balloon World, which are certainly nice additions, but nowhere near the scale of the last 5 games. It makes it feel like a major outlier among the rest of the Switch's big hitters. But here's where the theory all starts to come together. What if the reason we don't have any big DLC for this game is because it was all turned into a Mario Odyssey sequel, just like Mario Galaxy 2? I mean, that just makes the most sense to me because it feels like they lost out on some good money not adding some new levels to this game. So that's my theory as to why I believe we will not only get a new Mario game next year, but that it will also be based on Mario Odyssey. However, there are a few reasons I could see people trying to argue against this in the comments, so why not get a head start and try to debunk some of them myself. First off, we have the fact that we already have a big game coming out next year in the form of Breath of the Wild 2. Dang it, I almost got through the entire script calling it the right name. I'm just way too used to calling it Breath of the Wild 2. Anyway, this point is stupid for many reasons. First off, Breath of the Wild and Odyssey came out within the same year, 2017. Obviously, Nintendo is used to having 2 major releases in the same year. If that somehow hasn't convinced you, also keep in mind that Tears of the Kingdom was delayed to next year when it was originally supposed to come out this year. They're not going to delay Mario Odyssey 2 because they had to for Tears of the Kingdom, so even if they plan to have them released different years, Zelda being delayed shouldn't affect Mario Odyssey 2. One other possible counterpoint is that they just released Bowser's Fury in 2021, so it may be too soon for another 3D Mario. While this is certainly a better point than the last one, there are still quite a few holes. First off, that was almost 2 years ago, so even if they were focused on that, it's been quite a while since then. For reference, the gap between 3D Land and 3D World is only 2 years, so the gap is not unreasonable. Additionally, Bowser's Fury is just a side mode in a port, and while it is pretty decently sized, it's nowhere near the scale of Odyssey or any other 3D Mario game. They likely could have had Odyssey 2 and Bowser's Fury being in development simultaneously, and even if they didn't, Bowser's Fury is mostly comprised of reused assets from 3D World itself, so it wouldn't have been as hard to develop as a brand new game. Same goes for Odyssey 2, which I presume will take a lot from the first game. Some people might argue that since Mario already explored the whole world in the first Odyssey, they've got nowhere else to go for a sequel. Okay, that's just stupid. The Mario franchise has never been fully consistent as to what makes up its world, and even if they want to keep the same planet for an Odyssey 2, Mario didn't explore every inch of it. Plus, they could always have him travel to a different dimension or something at the start of the game if they really wanted to. I mean, other popular locations like Al Delfino, Sarasaland, any of the Mario 64 levels, and more don't show up on Odyssey's world map, so I highly doubt they're going to be too picky on the details of the planet Mario and Cappy are traveling on. And our final counterpoint is simply that some people think Mario Odyssey does not warrant a sequel, unlike Mario Galaxy. Mario Odyssey both sold more and was just as highly reviewed. I don't see how people could possibly think this. Plus, Mario Odyssey is being referenced a lot in the Mario movie, with the buttons on Toad's backpack being based on Mario Odyssey locations and the Crazy Cap store making an appearance in one of the trailers. With there being so many references to Odyssey, I could see them writing with that for a possible sequel to come out soon. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you all think Nintendo's big 2023 holiday game will actually be Duck Hunt 2? Let me know in the comments. I really hope we get some mainland Mario news soon, because I've missed being able to explore a new world with Mario. Kirby and the Forgotten Land luckily held me over for this year, but if we don't get a new Mario game next year, I'm gonna be real sad. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and Happy New Year.